cells. We're not going to work a lot with cells, but cells explain everything, and cells form tissues. How many people have had anatomy? Anybody? You know your tissues. All right. We can talk about tissues. They're quite fun. We're not going to spend a lot of time on tissues. This is kind of pre-anatomy. But to really understand the organs, you need to understand the tissues. But this course isn't designed to be a physio course, which would be after anatomy. It's designed to be kind of pre-physio. So you'll get physio-like. But if you've had tissues, you really understand this to a pretty high level. All right, then organs. And this kind of organs and body systems. That's kind of where we'll spend most of our time. We're not going to spend a lot of time on no time on ecosystems, community population, or the planet. Now, the nervous system would be our largest system. It's the most complex system. And by the way, anything with these black backgrounds, I won't test you on. This is just a nice overview. I want to show you where the course is going, okay? So the first part of the course, this first test, really won't be over systems. We're going to go over biological molecules, cellular respiration, photosynthesis, all right? Then we're going to flip to this, the nervous system. And we're going to have an extensive nervous system. UCLA always does. And so this is actually what you're using to learn about the nervous system. Isn't that cool? So we'll do lots of meta things. It's going to be great. I'll show you the molecules that will hold memory of the molecules. Isn't that cool? No? It's kind of fun. We'll do all that stuff. We'll talk about the nervous system. The output of the nervous system is the the skeletal muscular system. We'll talk about that quite a bit. We're going to focus on skeletal muscles as our primary story. We'll have a little small story of smooth muscle. And we'll cover cardio with the cardiovascular system. The endocrine system is a fun system. We cover it in one section. We're going to cover the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, thyroid gland, and adrenal gland. But we'll actually cover a lot of this in their system. So pancreas we'll cover with digestion. The testes and the ovaries, we'll cover that with reproduction. Okay, so some of the endocrine system will be shifted for good reason, right? When we learn about the ovaries, it's really a story of the ovarian cycle, which is a story of hormones, right? How hormones shift throughout the cycle. So we'll cover that not in the endocrine system, but with reproduction, all right? And we'll learn how we make sperm, in this case, under luteinizing hormone control. So we'll have fun. Cardiovascular system, for some reason you guys always kill this. It's the easiest system for you guys. I don't know why. Have you guys had a lot of this already? I hated cardiovascular. I don't know why. I like neuro. But yeah, this is the system that you guys really seem to know coming in. So I won't add a lot to most of you from what I can tell. The neuro, where you'll get a lot. That'll be where I feel like the biggest gap is. Respiratory system. This is pretty cool stuff. We'll have fun with this one. How we exchange gas, so carbon dioxide and oxygen. And it's actually, we'll use an equation called Flick's law of diffusion. Have you guys heard of that? We'll go into that equation and we'll talk about all the anatomy and physiology relates. It'll be fun. We'll have a great time. All right. Lymphatic and immune systems, right here. We'll talk about that. How many people have had an immunology course? This will be light for you. All right. This is going to be baby. Immunology is the second most complicated system that we have. All right. What's the first? Neuro, because neuro is the best. I'm a neurophysiologist, so I am biased. All right, immuno is pretty cool though. All right, digestion is pretty terrible. Where does it start? It starts pretty awesome, right? Little Caesar's pizza, a couple IPAs, right? But how does it end? We don't want to talk about how it ends, right? It ends down here. We'll talk about how that happens. All right. But it's actually kind of fun. We'll have fun with it. But it's more fun to put things in one end than the other, I think. All right. Urinary system will be one of your favorite stories. All right. The kidney's amazing. How many people have talked about nephrons before? You guys have this? It's pretty cool, right? This will be one of your favorite stories. How you make urine is quite interesting. All right? It's definitely one of my favorite stories. It's not conceptually difficult. It's just a fun story, and it has a lot of different biological concepts. And we'll end with reproduction. That'll be fun. We'll talk about the ovarian cycle in females. We'll talk about making sperm in males, and why male testicles are external, which I'm sure you guys have wondered every day, right? Have you? Tell me, is it ridiculous? It's a terrible idea. Why? They're not protected. You want to put those things deep inside. Who's got the better strategy? Well, the female system's way better. All right? You want to keep these things safe. We'll talk about why the testes are external. There's a good reason why. And so we'll spend some time on that question. And whales, external or internal testes? How big is a blue whale? Pretty big. The heart of a blue whale is as big as a Volkswagen. How big would blue whale testes be? Pretty big. Have you ever seen blue whale testes? Let me ask you again. Blue whale testes, internal or external? Internal. You would know if they were external. All right. So we'll spend some time on that one. All right. You know, the first time I taught reproduction, I couldn't do it without laughing or my face turning red. Now I can have no problem with this. So we'll have fun with it. All right. It's terrible. The first time you teach this, it is not. It's embarrassing. Then it's like, all right, we got this. All right. Now back to things I'll test you with. So let's start the course right here, okay? Here you have the periodic table. Now outlined in yellow and orange, these are the atoms of you, okay? Now most of you would be the atoms in yellow, all right? In trace amounts, you're going to find various other ions over here, okay? Now, what you have to know is really basic chemistry. This is an atom. Does anyone know what atom this is? If you've had chemistry, you might have. Helium. Good. How did you know that? Yeah. So to know what atom we have, we simply count the protons. This is helium because it has 2 protons. And if you go to your little chart here, you'll see helium has 2 protons. Okay. Hydrogen has how many protons? 1. And you can go through any element on the periodic table, and you can see how many protons we have. Now, typically, we have the same number of neutrons as we have protons in the nucleus. So this has 2 protons, and how many neutrons? 2. Always, almost always equal. So if you look, you're going to see the atomic number. That's the number of protons. That's your element right there. That's helium. And you can see your atomic mass is 4, 2 protons, 2 neutrons. All right, and that's how you read this. Now, typically, you're going to have the same number of electrons as your protons right there. All right? And so those kind of fill up as such. Now, sometimes your atom can have more neutrons than they should. If that's the case, we call that an isotope. Now, right here, what atom are we looking at here? Hydrogen. Because you see how many protons? 1. Hydrogen's a little weird, right? The non-isotope, the normal hydrogen, is simply that, a proton with no neutron. If you have a neutron, or 2, you're the isotope, right? So, unlike most atoms, hydrogen's a little odd. It doesn't have a neutron. And so, we call a hydrogen that's been stripped of its electrons in solution a proton. You guys have heard of this, but maybe you haven't thought of it. How many people have heard of Nexium? Purple pill? Okay, what does it do?
Acid reflux.
Acid reflux. It's a proton pump inhibitor. It stops the pumping of protons or hydrogens, basically. All right. So when I say proton, you should think, oh, he means hydrogen. All right? Because that's what I mean. And when I say proton, I'll only use it when I talk about a hydrogen in solution, so stripped of an electron. All right? And I'll talk about this in a little bit, but acids and base. You guys ever, what's acidic? Stomach acid. That's really acidic. You do know stomach acid has a lot of protons? All right, because we have a proton pump that pumps that into your stomach, right? Now, what's base, on the other hand, will be the opposite. What's something that's basic? Well, water's pretty neutral. Sodium hydroxide, baking soda, things like that, they're pretty basic. How many protons do you think we're going to have? Not many. And so, the more protons you have, the more acidic. Another way of saying it is the more hydrogens that you have that are stripped of electrons, the more acidic you are. A neutral pH has 10 to the negative 7 protons per solution. Pretty cool? I have a slide on this. We'll talk more of it. All right? So any questions on this? All right, let's see a little more on isotopes. Right here, this is carbon-12. This is the non-isotope. All right? So we've got 12. We've got carbon-12 meaning the atomic mass of 12. 6 protons, 6 neutrons. C12. All right? That's what it should have. This right here is carbon-14. That's the isotope. You'll notice the 2 extra neutrons. All right? And that's an isotope. So anytime you have more neutrons than you have protons, you're isotopic. And we can use this to determine carbon dating. We can look at the ratios of C14 to C12 in a molecule and determine how old that sample is. So isotopes are quite useful in that. Right. Now, if you look, this is potassium. And so in potassium, you'll notice you're going to have electrons that are equal to the number of protons as you make your way through. And you're going to fill up your shells in certain orders. So there'll be 2 electrons, and then 8, and then here's your outer shell. So the outer shell of potassium just has 1. All right? And so that's how this will work. Now, let's connect that to chemical bonds. Right? We only need to know 4 chemical bonds. Right? That's it. Covalent, ionic, hydrogen, and van der Waals. Which one is the strongest? Covalent. All right? So what you need to know about covalent is the strongest bond. That's the first thing you need to understand. And so covalent bonds result from 2 atoms sharing electrons. And so if you're sharing electrons, that's going to bind those guys together pretty strongly. It's going to take a lot of energy to break those bonds. All right? So right here you can see 2 hydrogen atoms. Hydrogens have 1 electron right here. And how many do we need in the outer shell to be happy? 2. So they simply will share electrons and we'll have a stable molecule. Right? The hydrogen gas, H2. All right? This is a covalent bond. It's a very strong bond. And right here, this is methane. And you can see carbon will have 4 different bonds. All right? So the 4 electrons on the outer shell, so it can form 4 different bonds. These are all covalent. And this happens to be methane. And what I want you to get is this next part. All right? So sometimes atoms share nicely. Sometimes they don't share well. How many people shared well when they were a kid? Did you? I don't remember how I did. I go back and ask my mom. All right. I don't think I would be a good sharer. Anyone else would be I'd be like my truck or something. I don't know. Did you guys play with anything fun? No? No fun toys? All right. I don't remember what I had. Oh, remember the Death Star with Darth Vader got in that? Yeah, I know that. I'm going to get one of those. All right. Now, some atoms are more electronegative than others. What that means is they're an electron hog. If you're high on electron negativity, you can hog electrons. You're not going to play around. All right? You're not going to share well. Right? And so oxygen is very, very high on this and will not share well with others. Right? Who will it be forced to share well with? Or another oxygen. I like it. Another oxygen. O2. All right? That's a covalent bond. It's sharing equal because they both have the same electronegativity, right? Okay. Now, as you go down, remember potassium had that 1 electron, and that's not very electronegative. it'll give that off for easily. Okay? So let's go. There are two types of covalent bonds, polar and non-polar. Sharing well, not sharing well. Make sense? If you have a polar covalent bond, somebody doesn't share well. All right? All right, so let's examine a couple different bonds. Right here, here's an example of a non-polar covalent bond and a polar. Now, obviously, if two hydrogens get together, they would have the same electronegativity. And so they're going to share that electron equally. And so this is a non-polar covalent bond. The electrons will spend equal amount of time with both atoms. Okay, so there's no polarity to this. You know this one well. This is H2O, right? That is water. Who's this guy? And that oxygen is a high electronegativity, right? Now look at hydrogen's electronegativity. Where's hydrogen? Not there, it's 2.1. Okay, so not very electronegative, right? So we're going to have an unequal relationship here. The electrons are going to spend more time near oxygen, all right, on average, than near the hydrogen. And so this is going to be a polar covalent bond. There's going to be a slight negative differential here and positive on this side. The unequal sharing of electrons. This is quite useful. We'll talk about why water is so important. But this is why you live as you do. All right? Questions on these bonds? All right. Okay. Now, sometimes the electronegativity is so different, they're just like, screw it, take it. All right? So let's look at chlorine. Chlorine atom has a pretty high electronegativity, 3.1. All right, sodium, 0.9. That's a pretty big differential, right? So in this scenario, the sodium will just give up the electron. And the chlorine atom will take it home. And so in this case, we'll have a negative charge on the chlorine atom and a positive charge on the sodium atom, and that will be an ionic bond. The negativity and negative things love, positive things love, negative things. That electric force will keep them together. And so this is what we call an ionic bond, right here. The next strongest bond. Here we go. All right? So table salt, sodium chloride. Ion. Pretty cool. How do you break that bond up? Yeah, put it in water. Put it in water. Because water is going to interact with it. Why would water interact and break these bonds up? Water is polar. It's a polar covalent bond. That'll allow water to interact with it. All right, and there you go. So you can see sodium chloride together with ionic bonds. Once you put that in the solution, the polar water molecule, or any polar solvent really, will interact with the sodium chloride. And what you're going to find is, here's chloride, right? And it's going to have the positive ends of your water molecule relating to it. And then you'll see sodium here with oxygen surrounded. Literally, that's how you dissolve things in water. Right? Just in this case. All right? Your next strongest bond would be hydrogen bond. All right? This is typically going to be between polar molecules. You can see the most famous and the most common hydrogen bond is between two water molecules. And you can see one water molecule will be attracted to another. And this hydrogen bond between the hydrogen of this water molecule and the negative pole of this water molecule, that's your hydrogen bond. Now, is this a strong bond? No, and it can break very easily. But you just make a new one, and that's water. Why water works the way it does. That's a common one. Now, it doesn't have to do with water, though. Right here. Does anyone know what kind of protein this is? The shit should give it away. It's an enzyme. All right, now, how many people have biochemistry? Don't tell your biochemist professor I said this. All enzymes look the same to me. I can't tell the difference. You've got an active site, a globular region, a place to interact with other molecules. They all look the same. But They wouldn't do that. But when you don't care what lactose. We'll just go with that. Who cares, right? They're not what? Neuroscientists. So we just ignore them. Don't tell them I said that. Okay. All right, let's look. This is an amino acid that's part of the protein. This amino, we haven't talked about R groups, but a portion of this protein has an R group where you can see there's a polar molecule. And then here's a hydrogen on another amino acid. And so there's a differential in charge here, a differential in charge here, and so they're attracted to each other. And that literally informs the tertiary shape of that molecule. What would happen if I heated this protein up? It'll break the weak hydrogen bonds, right? What's going to happen to my molecule? It's going to change its shape, right? The proteins of your body have the shape that they do because of things like this, little tiny hydrogen bonds. They're not strong. If they're broken, though, your proteins won't work properly. Because what's going to happen, the shape of this protein will be different, and the enzyme will not work as you want it to. All right? And that's why, what happens when you guys get to 107 temperature, people panic? Hydrogen bonds, right? You're denaturing your proteins. Are you breaking covalent bonds? No way. You're breaking hydrogen bonds. They're weak. All right? So that's why temperature is so destructive to you, is these very weak bonds are going to be affected by temperature. I got you dead by 107. All right, 104. 104. All right. So we'll talk about a drug you can take where you can actually get to 107 degrees and kill yourself with that. Don't take it. It's a terrible drug. All right. Well, it's actually useful biologically. We'll explain why it works. All right. But it would be affecting this stuff. All right. So here's another protein. The tertiary structure of this protein is showing you another hydrogen bond between these two amino acids. You see how it would change the shape. There are other ways in which proteins can form their tertiary shape. We'll discuss them in a little bit. All right. But hydrogen bonds are useful for the shape of proteins. They're also going to be related to your DNA. The nucleotides are attracted to each other with hydrogen bonds. Anyone ever done a PCR? Would you heat up the DNA? And go back in here, you were breaking hydrogen bonds. Good. Okay. Pretty cool stuff. All right. Van der Waals. Our weakest ones. These bonds are going to be between non-polar molecules. When you think of non-polar molecules, think of fats, think of phospholipids, okay, things like that. Those are your non-polar interactions. They're why, everyone ever take oil and put it in water, what did the oil do? It just stuck together, right, and repelled the water, absolutely. So you had a big oil droplet. Or, remember the BP spill? The oil just blobbed together, right? And that's due to Van der Waals forces, actually. Or a better one, have you ever taken pizza and squished it and then oil drifts down? You can see the oil things in water. You guys ever done that? You can take a cup of water, take your pizza, just do that, drip some oil, and then you'll see the globules of oil drop down. That's kind of nice. It's not nice. It's terrible. Begging the question, how does Little Caesars still sell pizza for $5 after like 10 years? You wonder that? It's a really good question. Now, here you go. So polar molecules will form easily in water. They're going to interact well with water because they're going to interact with the polar molecule, which is water. All right, so this is a polar molecule. No problem interacting with water. All right. Ions interact with water well because they're charged, right? They always interact. Non-polar molecules do not interact well with water because they're going to, due to Van der Waals forces, interact with each other, and the water will be forced on the outside. So that's hydrophobic, water fearing, hydrophilic, water loving. We'll spend a little bit of time on that. All right, let's focus on water. You guys need a break. I've got 7:26. We'll pick up with water at 7:36. Give you a 10-minute break, and then I'll give you a choice whether you want another break or be let out early. So, +2. What does that mean? Lost 2 electrons. Okay. All right, so that'll come into play when we get to neural systems a lot. What's charge, what the charge means, and how this works, okay? So we're going to talk a lot about ions. And so when you put chloride, it's the chlorine atom, when we break up this ionic bond, it's now the chloride ion. It has an electron. Sodium ion. Okay. All right? Okay, let's talk about water. Water is why you live. What planet, or what is, no, not planet, what is that? What sphere is that? Not a planet. Moon. It's a moon. Your favorite, what's that? Europa. We're talking about water, and water is one of the few places in our solar system, Europa is one of the few places in our solar system that has water. And so NASA and everybody else is really interested in Europa. And the reason why is, do you know any life form that doesn't live with water? That's it. Could you have life without water? Maybe. We haven't thought of it or seen it yet. And so that's why we're trying to go to Europa. To put a probe in there and see if we can ruin their planet. Kind of screwed up ours. Let's see what we can do about yours. Do you know there are people that don't believe in global warming?
Yeah, they exist. The president's scary.
I don't get the politics, but I don't think, But I will say that I got in an argument recently with a cab driver on not whether climate change is real, but whether global warming was real. And I asked well, how do you think it's measured? And he kept on going on about Nancy Pelosi. I don't know why. But when I said the answer is thermometers, and he basically says, no, that's not right. In 1982, there was a really hot day in Houston, and therefore, there's no global warming. So, I guess that explains it. The temperature is rising. We know this, right? Okay. So, yes, we can screw up Europa next. There we go. All right, now, water has a lot of special properties. Being polar is one reason why you get to exist. All right? You can form hydrogen bonds. That's what that's going to allow us to do. And that's going to be useful. It has a tetrahedral shape. I'm not going to focus on this. You could almost ignore it. But that's going to be useful in the density of water. We're not going to cover that. All right? Now, here are the properties of water. Temperature moderation. All right? Because of the water in your atmosphere, the temperature doesn't drastically change between day and night. All right? How many people have lived in the South? Houston, North Carolina, Texas. Okay. What are nights like in Texas? In the summer? Hot and humid. Terrible. They're terrible. They are really, really hot. What are nights like here? They're cold, right? Now, the difference is water. What's the humidity like, the water content in the air in the South? It's high. So that keeps the temperature high at night. In the desert, with very little humidity, the temperature will move more drastically. All right, so we'll have a cooler night. Proving it's better to live here than in the South. For more than one reason. But definitely, if you've ever gone on a run in like 80 degrees in the South, you're going to die. We'll learn about why later. It has to do with evaporation. All right? But your temperature on your planet, because you're a water planet, doesn't drastically shift from day to night. And as a biological organism, that allows you to have the stability that you need. All right? It'd be terrible if it shifted a lot. There's a Vin Diesel movie where the temperature moves a lot. You should check it out. Now, solvents. You exist because of ions. Your neurons fire because sodium will enter neurons. Right? Calcium will enter axon terminals. Ions matter. And so, you need to dissolve those ions in water. And that's basically what your cerebrospinal fluid is in your cytoplasm. Ions dissolved in water. Cohesive and surface tension. I'll show you a slide for that, and the density of a solid. I'll show you a slide for those. Okay? Now, first of all, this is ice right here. And the thing you'll notice, let's examine our water molecules. Are they closer with ice, or are they closer with water? All right. So So there's your distance there. And a little further away in ice. Okay? So ice is less dense than water. Okay? Believe it or not, in liquid water, because these hydrogen bonds will make and break and remake, that allows the atoms, the molecules, to be a little closer. But in ice, because of that tetrahedral shape, the actual atoms are going to be frozen a little further. These hydrogen bonds will allow this structure. And so ice is less dense than water. Now, is that normal for elements? No, usually the most dense state is solid. But in the case of ice, our solid is less dense. Why is that useful to life? Think about a poor little fish swimming around in the ocean. All right, let's make ice more dense. What's going to happen? You're going to freeze from the bottom up, right? And then pretty soon, the fish is dead. Because ice is less dense, it's on top, right? And so the fish can be below, all right? And so that's going to be useful for that reason, among others. Okay? And then, of course, the gaseous state. Okay? Temperature moderation. I won't ask you this, but water has high specific heat. I'm not going to ask you about this. What that means is it takes a lot of energy to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. All right? Not going to ask about 1 gram of water, 1 degree. Don't worry about that. The concept you need to get here is that's going to help moderate the temperature. It won't change drastically. You put heat in, it will stick around, and when the heat will leave. And so that's why you have stable temperatures, and that's why the South is miserable in the summer. All right, cohesive forces. Hydrogen bonding allows water to go the wrong direction. By wrong direction, I mean against gravity, right? And so water's taken up in the roots, and we're going to talk about where we use water with photosynthesis right here in the leaves. This is where we're going to do photosynthesis. You're literally going to break water and turn it into oxygen. Is that cool? It's going to be fun. We'll have that. All right, so you're going to need water from your root system. That's going to be cohesive forces. And then we talked about solvents. All right, they're going to dissolve atoms in water. That allows you to have ions that you'll need. All right. Acids and bases. Acids and bases. When you think of acids, I want you to think of hydrogen ions. If I say hydrogen ion, what do I mean? I mean what? A hydrogen with no electrons. Good. A hydrogen with no electrons. All right? So hydrogen, is it positively charged? A little plus there. That means it doesn't have an electron. I'm not going to call this a hydrogen ion. In our class, I'm going to say proton. So when I say proton, you think hydrogen ion. Okay? And if I have a lot of protons, your stomach will have how many protons? A lot or a few? A lot. In a basic solution, bases will accept those hydrogen ions. So how many free hydrogen ions will we have? Not many, so you'll be more basic. All right? And so all pH is the measurement of the hydrogen ion or proton concentration. Okay? And your pH scale determines that. 7 is 10 to the negative 7 moles of hydrogen ions. And so you can see there's your pH, and there's the things that you are used to dealing with. I think we like physiologic pHs. It's pretty rare to have various pHs. Our stomach acid, why do we have such a negative pH in our stomach acid? Break things down. The simple answer about, think about Little Caesar's pizza. All right? How much does that pizza cost? $5. What do you think they're paying the people that make the pizza? It's a $5 pizza. Not a lot. Think they're washing their hands? Not at all. Has anyone worked at a restaurant?
Yeah.
Okay, when I was 15, I worked at Western Sizzle. Anyone? Dishwasher. You needed stomach acid. I mean, I didn't. It was terrible. All right. It was really, look, things go on at restaurants you do not want to know about. But you're okay. Why? you have a pH of 1 in your stomach acid. Not many things can survive that. So when the person making your Little Caesars pizza doesn't wash their hands, you're going to be okay. All right? Because they can't handle, the bacteria can't handle a pH of 1. All right? It's really true. Restaurants, no one's worked in a restaurant here?
I have.
Okay, now tell me how terrible it is.
I mean, yeah.
It's California.
Yeah.
It's got to be better than Oklahoma.
Well,
But
it's not as bad as you're making it out to be. And my restaurant was bad.
okay. You didn't have a restaurant in Oklahoma. I'm telling you right now. I feel like it's extra. But also, Oklahoma in the 90s, it's different, right? You know, maybe more stuff. Bad, not bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't worry. You have a stomach acid of 1. That's good for you. All right. That'll kill most things. All right. All right. Biological molecules. 4 different types of biological molecules. Proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and nucleic acids. Which ones are you mostly made of?
Proteins.
It's always hard. Proteins. You're mostly proteins. Yeah. Go. I'll come back to this. Yeah, there you go. Well, you're mostly water. But ignoring the water, right, of the macromolecules, of those biological molecules, you're mostly proteins. Isn't that kind of cool? Next. I'm always shocked by this. You guys blown away by that? The amount of nucleic acids? I almost don't believe this, but it's on the slide, so. Carbohydrates, I would assume more. And lipids, I definitely would assume more. But, you know, that's what it is. All right.
Quick question. Does that vary depending on, like, the, I guess, size of the person?
It would be, yeah, these would be an average, but I didn't think across, I think this is just a general gist of what's there. Yeah, that would definitely vary. I mean, a whale too, because whales have blubber, right? They're going to be shifted on this as well. I think the general gist. You're mostly proteins. Okay. Yeah, I agree. It would vary from individual. Okay. Now, most of these molecules, not lipids, exist as polymers. What that means is you've got these monomers, and we just chain them together. So what's the monomers of proteins? Amino acids, good. Are amino acids big or small? Small. You take one amino acid, you chain it to another, and another, and another, and another, and another. You could have 1,000 or so of these guys, right? You have them all chained together, so a protein is big or small? Big. Okay, so a protein is a polymer. The monomer would be amino acids. All right. Carbohydrates. What are the monomers for carbohydrates? Saccharides. Good. Sugars. Saccharides. Sugars. Good. Sugars. We just take things like glucose, we chain them together. We make big things like cellulose if you're a plant, glycogen if you are you. You guys, any marathon runners in here? One marathon? There's always one. Oh, one? Okay. Did you carbo load? Before a marathon, people say you're supposed to carbo load. Eat lots of pizza, that gives you glycogen. That's your stored carbohydrate storage. Nucleic acids, when we think of that, what do you think of? DNA, RNA, good. Lipids aren't technically polymers. All right, the fatty acid tail, we'll talk about in a minute, can vary from small to long, but not technically polymers. Let's go over these guys one by one. Proteins, as you guys deduced, 20 or so amino acids. Carbohydrates, sugar monomers, monosaccharides. Polysaccharide, right? Glycogen, cellulose. Nucleic acids, DNA, RNA, and lipids. We'll talk about this in a minute. You want to know them? All right. You know. No, I mean, look. That's a good question. Some people make you actually memorize, be able to draw out the amino acids. That is memory for memory's sake. You'll forget it in 5 minutes. It maybe makes some sense in biochemistry. Do they make you do that in biochemistry even?
Yes.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, so learn it from biochemistry. It's not going to make a lot of sense here. We don't really spend a lot of time on those interactions. So you memorize it just to memorize it. So it would be but I'll show you how I want you to understand. Yeah, we don't actually use a lot of those amino acids in our. We're more of a physiological system. Okay, now when we chain together monomers to make a polymer, we have two types of reactions: condensation, and go ahead and write this down. There's another word that you should know: dehydration synthesis. I like that one better, personally. Condensation in this case means from the reaction you're getting water. You guys have all seen condensation in the morning, water, right? That's where you get that. So I like dehydration synthesis in this case because you're putting together two molecules to make a polymer. Synthesize something. For condensation, dehydration synthesis mean two monomers come together, you get a product, water, and we chain these guys together. That's how we're going to put together our monomers. Okay? Through those reactions. Hydrolysis is the reverse. So when we break apart a polymer into monomers, we're going to have to hydrolyze or split water, hydrolysis. All right? See how we're taking parts of the water molecule, putting it into our future monomers? And that's how we break these apart. So this is a word I'm going to use a lot. I'm going to say, hey, we hydrolyzed this. We did that. If I say hydrolyzed, whatever molecule we had before will be bigger or smaller? Smaller. The biggest hydrolysis we'll talk about a lot is ATP. Okay, what ATP, adenosine triphosphate, we hydrolyze that third phosphate bond and we get ADP. Good. We'll talk about that a lot. That's how you guys work ATP. Okay, so this is simply hydrolysis.
Sorry, can you explain that slightly?
Yeah. So when we imagine this is an amino acid, right? And here's another amino acid. Now we want to chain these guys, these monomers together. Well, how do we do that? We're going to use a reaction that's going to be called condensation reaction or dehydration synthesis. Now in doing so, when we chain these molecules together, we'll produce a water molecule. That's where you get the term condensation. And then this right here, if these were two amino acids, we'd now be bonded. This would be a polymer. Now, if this were this bond here, if these were two, this would be a peptide bond. And I'll show you the names of them later. But we'll name this system bond. Now, let's take a polymer. Multiple amino acids, a protein. Now, if we want to break apart an amino acid, we're going to have to break this peptide bond, right? Well, the reaction that allows us to break this bond is a hydrolysis reaction. In order to get these monomers from this polymer, we're going to have to hydrolyze water. We're going to take parts of water molecules, and we're going to have to put that into our monomers, or our future monomer. And so, hydrolysis. Right? If you're making water, condensation. If you're breaking water, hydrolysis. Right? And that's how we look at polymer to monomer. Those are general terms. And so you'll hear me say hydrolyze a lot. We're breaking a lot. All right? I won't use condensation or dehydration synthesis a lot. We don't work with that too much. Let's go over proteins first. We'll spend a lot of time throughout the course talking about enzymes. That's probably the first or second most common type of protein. And enzymes, what do enzymes do? Yeah, they catalyze a reaction. All right? They make a reaction occur faster. Good. They're going to catalyze a reaction. You guys have had chemistry. How did you speed things up in chemistry? Heat, or you added a catalyst. Good. Probably a non-biological catalyst. The biological catalyst is an enzyme. Heat doesn't work so well for you guys. All right? The next type of protein we'll talk about will be receptor proteins. We'll talk a lot about receptor proteins. For these guys, you may know them as ion channels or neurotransmitters, types of proteins for hormone signaling. These are your signaling molecules. These will be the things that respond to ligands, neurotransmitters, hormones. Okay. Right. Next, defensive proteins, antibodies. What do antibodies do? They bind to To pathogens, good, hopefully. Well, to antigens, but we hope pathogenic antigens here. And so that will immobilize any pathogen. So antibodies. We'll talk a little bit about them at the end. But they're proteins. Hormones, some hormones are proteins, some aren't. Right? We won't talk a lot about storage structure and transport, but when you think of transport, what's the protein that you should think of? What are you transporting for your body? Oxygen. So what's the molecule that transports oxygen? Hemoglobin. Hemoglobin's a protein. We'll talk about that. We're not going to talk about genetic regulatory proteins a lot, but you guys have had some cell biology transcription factors. You guys have heard those? We're really not going to cover that. But these are all proteins. So a good portion of the course will be about enzymes, receptor proteins, and a little bit about antibodies. And so we're going to talk a lot about proteins. Right? We don't really get energy from proteins. If you're getting energy from proteins, things are going bad. Okay, this is a terrible situation. All right? Now, let's look at this. This sentence right here is actually more important than it may look. The primary amino acid sequence determines the structure of the protein. Okay? So that may not mean anything to you, but I'm going to come back to this after I go a little bit into proteins. And this actually is quite important. Let me say it a different way. What amino acid is chained to the next amino acid? Whatever specific amino acid you chain together will determine the shape of that protein and the function of that. And if you're still not getting it, I'm going to come back to it. Fair enough? That's an important sentence. Okay. Now, I promise to come back to that. This right here is an amino acid. Amino acids, more or less, all look the same, with one exception. All right? Right here, this is the alpha carbon. You know we have 4 potential bonds. All right, there's going to be an amino group right here. So this is the start of your protein, if you will, and a carboxyl group. And that carboxyl group will bind to the amino group of the next amino acid. And so every amino acid will have this amino group. It'll have a carboxyl group, and it'll have a single hydrogen right here. What makes amino acids interesting is the R group. This is the thing that's different. These 3 bonds will always be the same. This R group, the side chain, that's what makes the amino acid special. So let's look at it. All right, these are, and here's how I want you to understand amino acids. All right, so these are electrically charged amino acids. What does that mean? Good, they have more or less electrons in the R group. All right, let's look. This R group right here, you can see it. What have we done here? We've lost an electron. So this is a positively charged amino acid. Right here, lost an electron. Lost an electron. How about these guys? Gained an electron. So these are negatively charged amino acids. All right? So what I want you to be able to do is you don't have to remember which amino acid is negatively charged. Don't memorize your amino acids. Know the class. If you are, here's what I want you to know. If you're a charged amino acid, first thing I want you to know is, will you interact well with water? Yes. Absolutely. So you will be hydrophilic, water-loving. Hydrophilic. Now, think about the shape of a protein. If you're hydrophilic, will you want to interact with water as you're forming that shape? Absolutely. Okay? And so think about it. I want you to imagine if we're chaining together amino acids, the ones that are charged, are they going to want to interact with water? Absolutely. That'll actually form their shape. The interaction with water helps form their shape. Now, these guys are oftentimes found in ion channels. Okay? Now, what do you think? An ion channel is a protein. It's in the membrane, the cell membrane. And what do you think goes through them? Ion channels. Ions. That's awesome, right? Ions go through ion channels. I like it. Now, ion channels are really simple. When they open, they just let ions go. They're not really complicated. Now, there's going to be the pore of the ion channel, right? This part right here. What kind of amino acids would you put it for?
Actually, again,
What's going to attract ions?
Charged.
Charge. So if you have sodium positive or negative charge? Positive charge. So what kind of amino acid would you want to put it this for?
Negative.
Negative. Chloride, positive or negatively charged?
Negative.
Negatively charged. So if you have a chloride ion channel, what would you want to put it that for? Arginine, histidine, lysine. Makes sense? And so these guys tend to be found at pores of ion channels, and they determine what ions get to go through. So the two things I want you to get about electrically charged amino acids. One, they're definitely hydrophilic, and they're going to be useful in ion channels along the pore. They give you some selectivity to what ions go through. So would it be weird for an ion channel to allow chloride and sodium to go through it? It would be, right? If you're negatively charged, will chloride want to go through that ion channel? No way. Negatives repel negative. So you're going to have some selectivity depending upon these, where you find these guys. Okay? All right, the next group we're going to talk about.
Good question. So when you say electrically, the term electrically, that refers to both positive and negative?
Yes, in an electrically charged amino acid, an R group will have either lost an electron or gained an electron. And that there are different versions of electric. This is a positively charged amino acid. These are negatively charged amino acids, but they're all electrically charged. Good.
So the pores are charged.
Ion channel pores tend to have amino acids that are charged along them. Not all of them, of course.
Yeah.
But a lot more charged amino acids here.
So was that why we had the exchange, the impression? Because they're
Yeah. So let me. You don't have to know this yet. We're not teaching, but ions move based upon what's called a chemical electrical gradient. If you have more sodium here than here, and it's negative inside, they're going to go by those forces. But you're absolutely right. They're going to interact with that pore channel slightly. And that interaction with the pore channel is important. It would be due to those things. But largely, we're going to ignore that interaction, actually, and focus on the electrochemical gradient. But there is an interaction with the pore. That is critical. We're just going to ignore it. And it's just because it's more than that.
yeah.
Okay. Now, these guys, this class right there, these are polar amino acids. All right, so polar, does that mean they're charged? Nope, these aren't charged. But if you look at their R groups, you're going to see a little bit of oxygen right here. Oxygen's a little bit, what? Electron hog, right? It's electronegative, so it's an electron hog. So can you imagine electrons spending a little more time here than maybe over here? And so these, I'll give you guys a couple of seconds. I'm always stealing things, so I'm really good. In fact, I'm the one who always has the phone go off. If that happens to you, don't worry. All right. Turn your alarms off. I never do. All right, now. So these R groups, you're going to find that they're going to be they're going to be polar, meaning electrons will spend a little more time on one end or the other. Now, what does that mean? If you're polar, interact with water. So these amino acids are hydrophilic. And that's all you need to know about these guys. They're hydrophilic. They're going to interact well with water. I'll connect it a little more in a minute. Now, these amino acids here are nonpolar. These R groups are going to interact with other R groups that are nonpolar. And they're going to be hydrophobic. Now, imagine now you're chaining together an amino acid. As you make that protein, the nonpolar amino acids are going to want to interact with each other. And they're not going to want to interact with water. That'll literally form their shape. If you were to mutate your protein and put some charged amino acids, right, what's going to happen to the shape of your protein? it'll be different. Because those amino acids are going to want to interact with water. You see how that would work? If you chain together some different amino acids, these amino acids might want to turn this way to be near water. But the hydrophobic ones might want to turn towards other hydrophobic. And you see how your shape could be different? And so hydrophobic sides would tend to be on the insides of proteins, interacting away from water, if you will. Right? And so they're going to interact slightly different. So that's nonpolar. By nonpolar, we're talking about the R groups, right? Electrons will be more or less equally distributed. Now, special cases. You need to know these special cases. Cysteine, right here. You can see in the R group we've got a sulfur. These things are really important. They allow what's called disulfide bonds. This is critical. Right? So cysteine can interact with another cysteine. And there's your disulfide bond. Let me show you a picture. This computer's too far away, don't you guys? All right, here you go. Let's find it right here. Now look, this is, right here. This is cysteine. Can you imagine how we did this? This is one amino acid, right? Chained together with another, and another, and another, and another, right? Non-polar, polar, charged, whatever, right? Here's your cysteine. We're going to chain together a bunch of others. Here's your next cysteine. Look how far apart they are. All right? But they're interacting with each other right here. This is a disulfide bond. What if I were to break a disulfide bond? The protein would change its shape. So cysteines are crazy important because they're critical for the tertiary, three-dimensional structure of a protein. So cysteines allow for disulfide bonds. And that's going to give you your protein's three-dimensional shape. Critically important. All right. Next. Glycine. Look at glycine's R group. It is a hydrogen. Glycine's important for two reasons. Being as small as it is, it kind of fits the tight corners of proteins. But more importantly, the way we'll deal with this, it's actually a neurotransmitter. So glycinergic transmission is quite important. Your hindbrain, your spinal cord, a lot of that inhibitory transmission is glycinergic. And so we'll spend a lot of time on glycine, in this case, as a neurotransmitter. So for glycine, just know, fits in small places and it's a neurotransmitter. All right, proline in this case, proline is oftentimes in a protein found at bends and loops, and that's due to this cyclical structure of its R group right here. So what do you need to know? You don't have to know the structure, just know proline's found where? Bends and loops. That's it. All right, so not much like that. All right? Not much. Now, here's your amino acid. Right here is the amino group, carboxyl group. We're going to do what kind of reaction to take these two monomers together? Dehydration, synthesis, or condensation. Right here. We're going to chain these two monomers together. Now we have a polymer. It's a very small protein, I guess. All right? That's a peptide bond. And so the bond, when we put two amino acids together, is a peptide bond, or peptide bond. You need to know that. I'll memorize it. All right, so there's your typical reaction. And so as we keep on chaining together amino acids, this is the primary sequence. Primary. Right? Chain them together. Right? Now, if I'm chaining together amino acids and I get to a cysteine here, right? Let's mutate this to alanine. Will my protein be different? Why? Yeah, because if I mutate cysteine to alanine, what am I going to lose? My disulfide bond, right? If I changed another amino acid and made it electrically charged, I'm going to differentially interact with water, right? And so the point I want you to get is amino acids that we link together are going to determine the structure of the protein, because we're going to have different we change that up, we get different disulfide bonds, different interactions with water, different ionic bonds, which we haven't talked about, which would be between electrically charged amino acids, right? One that's positively charged, would that be attractive to one that's negatively charged? Absolutely. If you took that away, you made one of these non-polar, would they interact? No, the protein shape would be changed. All right? So whatever amino acids you decide to chain together will determine the final shape of the protein. Does that make sense now? A little bit? You guys are like, it's 8:30, nothing makes sense right now. It's only 8:12. All right. Does it feel like it's 8:30? That's to me. All right. So you're like, yes, how do you talk this long and so fast? And it's 8:30. I'm making that.
So like somewhere you're saying that the primary amino acid structures will determine if
Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't like bugs.
There's a moth around here. Yes, I agree with you. That whatever amino acids you put together will determine the final shape of that protein due to all those various forces. Now, let me ask you guys, let's do a thought experiment. Let's mutate. Let's change together some amino acids. Let's take glutamine. Now, some of these are because they tend to be phosphosides, so let's not use it. Now, let's take leucine in this case, and I'm going to mutate it with phenylalanine. So we've changed our DNA. Now, in our primary sequence, we have a leucine instead of a phenylalanine. Will our protein shape be different?
yes,
It's a kind of yes or no question, right? I agree with you. The answer is we've kind of changed one type for another type. So the odds are we're going to be okay. We haven't made a drastic change to the protein, right? What if I exchanged a nonpolar for a polar? Yeah, we're getting to maybe a bigger chance of change. What if I took out a cysteine?
yes.
Almost definitely we could have a big change, right? And so a lot of times mutations occur in us, and we're okay, because the mutation just inserted one type of amino acid for the other, and the protein's more or less the same. Sometimes we get a single mutation which changes one amino acid, and we're in a lot of trouble, because that's going to literally change one amino acid to change the function of a protein. All right? Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it matters. All right? All right. Let's see where we're at now. Okay. Huh? What's that? Well, if you took out one, then you might lose the interaction with another, right? And so that would change the shape of the protein, because the other one would no longer interact with you, maybe even shift the shape. But you would need two cysteines for the disulfide bond. Absolutely. Okay. All right. All right. So if you look at a protein, the first amino acid in this case is the N-terminus, the amino group. The last one right here is the C-terminus. And this is quite a large protein. We've chained together, this is probably the end here, about 1,000 or so amino acids, all linked together. These guys go through the plasma membrane and back and forth. Okay? So if someone says N-terminus, they mean the beginning of the protein. If someone says C-terminus, they mean the end of the protein. You don't have to know this, but in a lot of ion channels and other things, the N-terminus tends to be extracellular. The C-terminus tends to be intracellular. I'll never ask that. All right. All right, so there are 4 levels of protein structure. We've talked about only, so far, the primary. If you say the primary structure, what kind of bonds are you talking about, really? Peptide bonds. Taking one amino acid and chaining it to another, and then another. That's the primary sequence. Right? All right, now, depending upon your primary sequence, those different R groups are going to interact with each other. All right, so there's your primary sequence. Depending upon what amino acids you change together, you're going to get a secondary structure. All right, you have 2 different types, And this is going to be due to hydrogen bonding. Okay? And what type of sequence or what type of structure you get depends upon what amino acids are chained together. One option you could have is an alpha helix. You can see how these amino acids have these hydrogen bondings to allow for this helical structure. The other one that you could get right here is the beta pleated sheet. Within the same protein or between two different proteins, you can see how these hydrogen bondings right here allow for this structure. Right? So the primary structure is due to what kind of bond? Peptide bond. And what kind of bond is that? Covalent, ionic, hydrogen, van der Waals? Covalent. Covalent bond. Your strongest bond, right? You guys probably wouldn't heat yourselves up to hurt the primary sequence. You could definitely heat yourselves up to hurt your hydrogen bond. Okay? The secondary structure, whether it be alpha helic or beta pleated, those are going to be due to hydrogen bonds. Okay? The next structure is the tertiary structure. This is the three-dimensional shape of the protein. Right? I'm going to show you a video pretty soon here, and you're going to see a protein being made. And when the ribosomes help chain together those amino acids, the protein is going to immediately do this. Right? It's going to go to its tertiary shape almost immediately due to all those different forces. Hydrogen, hydrophilic, hydrophobic, and all the other things we talked about. Okay? That's the three-dimensional shape or the tertiary structure in this case. All right? Tertiary structure. By that, here's what I mean. All right? So let me these guys. All right? By tertiary structure, I mean disulfide bridges, hydrogen bonds, hydrophobic, non-polar interactions, right? Van der Waals forces, ionic bonds. How would you get an ionic bond in a tertiary structure? R groups of what?
Positive and negative.
Positively and negatively charged amino acids. Good. Let me show you pictures. Okay, let's identify some of these. This is the tertiary structure. Right here, you can see hydrogen bond. This R group has a hydrogen. Right? This R group has an oxygen. And so they're polar, right? And so they're interacting with each other. That is your hydrogen bond. Here's your disulfide bridge. Right here, this is an ionic bond. This is a positively charged R group. That is a negatively charged. People refer to these guys. You ever heard the term salt bridges? Okay, that's a salt bridge. It's an ionic bond. All right. These are non-polar amino acids interacting, hydrophobic interactions. These different types of interactions determine your tertiary structure. Three-dimensional. You break off any one of these or just any one of them, the protein will look different. Therefore, it'll function. That's pretty cool. I'm beating this up too much. What's that?
Everything that the primary structure and the monomer.
Well, the primary structure is when we take monomers, one amino acid, and use a peptide bond, put it to another. And then another, and then another, and then another. So the polymer is all the amino acids chained together. The monomer would be the individual. The primary sequence is what amino acids together. Now, once we chain them together, immediately they form an alpha helix structure or a beta pleat. And then immediately they form their three-dimensional structure. It happens almost instantaneously as they interact with water and other amino acids. Isn't that cool? But whatever amino acids you chain together determines its final state. Change one amino acid, the protein will look different. Is that a little better?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so I want you guys to kind of get that all these things, because of the various R groups, determine the three-dimensional structure. Okay, that's what I want you to get. Now, the quaternary structure here is just talking about when you have multiple substances. So let's use hemoglobin as our example. This is basically hemoglobin. What does hemoglobin carry? Oxygen. Hemoglobin comes from four it's a result of 4 different proteins. This is a protein. This is a protein. This is a protein. This is a protein. Okay. And so they come together with the same types of forces that form the tertiary structure. So ionic bonds, salt bridges, disulfide bridges, all these different things, bonds, all these things determine the quaternary structure of this case. All right? And so sometimes proteins have more than one subunit. Here's a protein, here's a protein, here's a protein. They're all together. And hemoglobin is a good example of that. And all you need to know about the quaternary structure is they come together with the same types of things that form the tertiary structure. All right? Salt bridges, disulfide bonds, hydrogen bonds. This right here is the NMDA receptor right here. There are 4 subunits. Yeah, the quaternary structure is when you have more than one protein together. So right here, let's look at this example. This is the NR1 subunit. That's a protein, right? Formed from the GRIN1A gene. Transcribed from that. Here's a different one. This is NR2B. It comes from a different gene, actually, but that protein is made. Now, once you've made the protein, they're going to be put together. Right? So this is a protein that consists of 4 different subunits. Now, what makes these different subunits come together? The same stuff that forms the tertiary structure. Van der Waals forces, salt bridges, hydrogen bonding, all the same protein-protein interactions. Whether it be one subunit interacting with itself or one subunit interacting with other subunits. Right. Does that make some sense?
So you're saying that they come together because they have the same type of gesture?
Yeah, I like what you're saying. Let me do this. Well, then ask me the question again. Okay. Imagine you've got a ribosome. Okay. Ribosomes do what for you guys? Take a transcript, and then they may translate to proteins. Okay. So here's my ribosome. I just made this guy right here. This is a beautiful NR1 subunit. This is a protein. And imagine it's in its tertiary structure. Now another ribosome comes in, different transcript. Okay? Comes in, goes to the ribosome, and that makes, I'll use this. That makes a different protein. Here's a protein. So we've got 2 separately translated proteins here, right? Now, so this one subunit has a tertiary structure. Does this have a tertiary structure? Yes. Absolutely. They come together to form this protein, which would be the quaternary structure, which would be the interaction between 2 separate proteins. Right? So this protein has 4 different subunits, all interacting with the same forces that form the tertiary structure. Right? Could there be a disulfide bond between the NR1 and the NR2B? Yes. There could be. Why not? Could there be ionic bonds? Ionic salt bridges? Yeah. Hydrogen bonding? Sure. All the same forces. Keep these things together. Right? Does that make more sense now? You got it? Yeah?
So you're saying that similar types of tertiary structures come together?
Yeah,
Due to the forces that...
the same forces that make a protein have this 3-dimensional shape are the same forces that stick together, if you will, a larger protein like this with multiple subunits. So not all proteins have a quaternary structure. All proteins will have a tertiary structure. If you have the 4th structure here, you do so because you have multiple proteins linked together.
So tertiary, like it's the same connecting forces, but tertiary is within a protein.
Yes.
Quaternary is multiple proteins together.
You said it better than I did. Thank you. Yes. All right. You guys got it? Huh?
I was just going to ask, so hydrogen bonds are the main force for the secondary, but they also come into play in the tertiary.
Good. That's a good point. The secondary structure is only due to hydrogen bonds. The tertiary form and the quaternary form is due to many, many, many things. Hydrogen plus. All right. Good. All right. You guys feel better now? Okay. You know what protein you're using in order to learn about the quaternary structure? That one. Isn't that cool? This is the NMDA receptor right here. You're using your NMDA receptors right now to understand how the NMDA receptor comes together. If I gave you all APB, when you came in next week, or Thursday, you would not know about the NMDA receptor. Okay, cool? You need this molecule to understand this molecule. No? NMDA. It's the one that if you don't, by the way, never take PCP. Never. It's a terrible drug. PCP antagonizes NMDA receptors. It's a very bad drug. But yeah, its role is normal in learning memory. It's the most important role. Okay. All right. Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates. For you guys, it does two basic things. One is it's a source of your stored energy. You've got about a day's worth of stored energy in carbohydrates, or about 12 miles to start with. All right, not long. You burn through it pretty fast. You know that as glycogen. Remember glycogen? Carbohydrate. Now, also, you're going to have very small carbohydrates attached to your membrane. And those are going to be really, really critical, much more critical in a lot of ways. So let me get to those in a minute. Now, monosaccharides are simple sugars. Disaccharides would be 2. Oligosaccharides. These are the guys that I'm going to have you pay attention to most. These guys are really important. They're defined as 3 to 20 saccharides. Just know they're short, but important. Polysaccharides, thousands of monomers chained together right here. If you're a plant, you store your energy as starch. Humans store our energy as glycogen. Cellulose, plants use mostly for structure. Okay? And you can't digest cellulose. Who can?
Herbivores.
Cows. But they use bacteria in their rumen to do that. So the bacteria break down the cellulose and then they share. You know cows are worse than cars for global warming gases? Crazy. It's because of cellulose. Yeah, the bacteria create methane if they break down cellulose. Crazy, huh? No. And burgers taste so good. Sad. All right. So, in a hexose, right here, we're going to have how many carbons? 6. How about a pentose? 5. Okay, so here is our most famous hexose. Am I going to ask you about any of these structures? No. But we've got a big story coming where we're going to take this molecule right here, glucose. All right? And we're going to break glucose down into what? I'm doing it right now. You smell a lot of it.
CO2.
Carbon dioxide. So the story, you guys have ever heard of cellular respiration? We've got a big story coming when we talk about hexoses. We're mostly going to talk about glucose. The story that you're going to need to tell me is how you're going to take glucose and turn it into carbon dioxide. That's what cellular respiration really is. And here's the cool part. You're going to take the electrons from this guy right here. And those electrons are going to be used on the electron transport chain in order to pump protons. It's going to be fun. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to oxidize glucose. We're going to steal its electrons. Isn't that kind of fun? Okay. So that's all you have to know about glucose for now. For pentoses right here, you have to know them and think of them not for energy, but you should think of them for DNA and RNA. So in DNA and RNA, they all have a ribose sugar involved in the backbone. And the difference is in ribose, you've got an oxygen. In DNA, with RNA, you have an oxygen on the ribose sugar. And DNA, you don't. Deoxy, lacking oxygen. Right. Okay? That's where you get those names. Okay? If you chain together two monomers, in this case, two monosaccharides, the bond that forms from that, what kind of reaction? Dehydration synthesis is a glycosidic bond. That's peptide bonds for amino acids, glycosidic bonds for monomers of carbohydrates. Okay. All right, so far so good. So from this slide, you need to just know it's a glycosidic bond. What I'm more concerned that you know about are these guys. Oligosaccharides, that was what, 3 to 20 monosaccharides chained together. These are important because they serve as cell recognition signals. think about the problems that you have. A cell in your body has to know what other cells interact with, right? Your immune system has to know, hey, that's you, not an antigen or a pathogen, right? And so how that's done is to do with oligosaccharides. They're sitting on your cells saying, I'm you, interact with me, okay? And so your blood groups, A, B, O, are determined by those little oligos. Okay, oligosaccharides.
So are these a big factor in like autoimmune diseases?
I'm not an immunologist, so I don't want to get into how common that would be in knowing whether or not, and you would attack yourself or not. I wouldn't know, I mean, just being a neuroscientist that we come across. It's a logical deduction. I like that. It's better that you guys speculate well than I know answers or you know answers. Good speculation. All right. And so you can see here are some various oligos right here. Okay, here's one right here. This is a glycoprotein. What does glyco mean? Sugar. So this is an oligo attached to a protein. Here's a glycolipid, an oligo attached to a lipid. And so these guys form your cell recognition. And they really do look like little hairs all over the cell. They're quite extensive. This doesn't do them justice. Okay. All right, so those are oligos, cell recognition. Polysaccharides, starch and plants. I want to ask you that. For you guys, I'm more interested that you know glycogen. Okay. And cellulose is mostly structural. Now let's look at these different polysaccharides. All right. This is cellulose. Now we're chaining these guys together. By chaining them together linearly like this, we're good for strength. That's where they're used for. Now look how branched starch and glycogen is. Now this is really good. What would we use glycogen for? Energy, right? So you start running. You go on your half marathon. Enjoy. Now, as you go through that half marathon, your body's going to need energy, right? You're going to need, where do we get energy? We get our energy from glucose. So you're going to have enzymes that'll hydrolyze this glycosidic bond right here. Now you've pinched off the glucose. You can use it, right? Now here's the beauty. You can use enzymes to break off any end to here. Look how branched that is. I can get a bunch of glucose at once. And I can break that, all at once. Because it's highly branched, right? So I can get energy fast from glycogen because they're so branched. Now, starch. All right? A little more difficult, right? I'd have to branch there, and then I'd have to break there. I don't have a lot of places to go after that, right? So not very good for getting energy fast, right? So why would plants do something so stupid? Plants. Okay, next time you guys go for some lettuce, tell me how fast that lettuce runs away from you. Does it go fast? The apple tree is like, no, you cannot have an apple. No, it just sits there, right? Plants don't run marathons, right? In fact, let's be a little, anyone a botanist in here? Any plant people here? All right, we can make, sorry. I'll make fun of that people in a minute. Plants don't have a nervous system, so we don't care about them. Now, well, they don't run, they don't do anything, so they don't need a highly branched storage system. They're not in a hurry, right? A plant's never needing energy fast. Do humans need energy fast? Seals, sharks, whales, yeah. Okay, so that branch system is much more useful for you than that. Okay? So, pretty cool. So it's better to be you than a plant. Now, anyway, like if you cut down a tree, does the tree scream in agony? It can. It doesn't have a nervous system. But does that mean we should cut down trees? No, we like trees. They give us what? Oxygen. All right, good. All right, lipids. Lipids. The primary function for you, humans, for lipids, would be energy. That's what you're getting lipids for. You've got about 30 days of fat storage. Me more than most of you. All right, so that's where you get your energy, mostly through lipids. Okay, that's a big deal. That's what you use it in your hypodermis. It is insulatory. You get some insulation from that. But you're not whales. You're not seals. They have blubber. It's much more important for their insulation than you. Steroids. Some steroids are lipid-based. Testosterone. Like that. Myelin. Myelin is going to be very important. We're going to talk about this with the nervous system. Myelin is actually for insulation, but not like insulation for heat. Insulation for electrical properties. All right. So if I go and I pull out, well, let's just do it. Why am I not dying? Are there electrons in here? There must be. I'm not dying because this is insulated. It's not myelinated, but it's insulated. It's insulated. In the case of your myelin around your axons, you don't care about electrons, you care about ions. It'll insulate ionic flow. Okay. So that'll be important. Oil and wax and furs, you don't think it's important, but you only notice how important these things are when they go into problems. How many? You don't have to answer this, but if you have dry eyes in the room, constant dry eyes, you could have dry eyes because you have a problem with oils. It's kind of weird to think about. But Accutane, it was a common drug. I don't think it's given out very often now, but Accutane was given out for acne. And what it does is it suppresses the sebaceous gland. So if you do this on your skin and it feels kind of oily, that is SIBO. It's from these things called sebaceous glands. That's suppressed by Accutane. Okay, who cares about your eyes, right? Well, you've got sebaceous glands that kind of line up your eyelids, and they put oils on your eyeballs. Those oils help keep water from being evaporating from your eyeballs. And so if you've got dry eyes, your problem might not be the lacrimal gland, which makes the fluid on the outside. It might actually be you don't have enough oil. All right? So we don't think about oils until something goes wrong, and then we think of them. Or we see them in a weird place. All right, good. All right, feathers, hell water, really very important stuff. All right, these are going to relate to nonpolar or van der Waals forces. All right. And finally, I left this one to the last because it's so important. Your cell membranes are going to be formed with something called phospholipid. This is incredibly critical. Okay? That, we're going to talk a lot about. Okay, so ignoring the phospholipids, fats are triglycerides. All right, so we're only going to talk about the simplest one. And a triglyceride, this is not a typical monomer chaining to a polymer. It's something different. We're always going to have a glycerol, right? An alcohol, glycerol. And glycerols are going to have 3 potential bonding sites. They're all going to be ester bonds. Attached to them are going to be your fatty acids. All right? So I think it's easier just to show you. So here's a glycerol, right here. 3 potential bonds. So triglyceride, right? So that's a typical fat. The bonds between the glycerol molecule, they're called ester bonds. Ester linkage, ester bonds. All right? Now triglycerides, are we chaining stuff together? No, this is it. We only have 3 places where we can chain. It's not technically a polymer. But they can vary the length of the fatty acids. You can have long fatty acid tails, or you could have short ones. And they make a big difference. How they work. All right? How you guys doing? Tired? Let's see where we're at. 8:41. I didn't give you your second break, so let's do this. Can you make it 5 more minutes? Get through phospholipids. Yeah, let's get through phospholipids, and we'll take a break. Okay. All right. So, phospholipids. Let's talk about these guys. They're going to have fatty acids in this case, but 2 fatty acids. But one of these glycerol bonds is going to go a different direction, right? And this is why you exist. This is really cool. Let me just show you the. Okay. So here's your glycerol. What are these bonds here? Ester bonds. Here are your 2 fatty acids, right here. Right. Now this is what you need to pay attention to. First question: nonpolar or polar? Nonpolar. Nonpolar. So nonpolar things like to interact with what? Non-polar things. And they do not like water. Hydrophobic and water hate. Now, if you look at the other side, this right here is a phosphate. We're going to talk a lot about phosphates. Phosphates are negatively charged. Attached to that phosphate is a choline, which happens to be positively charged right there. So what's the net charge of the head here?
0.
0. But is it polar? You get it? Electrons spend a little more time here than here. The molecule's not charged, but the head is polar. So is it water-hating or water-loving? Water-loving, hydrophilic. So you've got this really cool molecule with a polar head and a hydrophobic tail, right? And this is how you came to be. The first cells must have formed because somebody just had this interaction. The fatty acid tails will want to interact with other fatty acid tails, where the phosphate and choline will want to interact with water. If you just throw these guys into water, make some phospholipids, throw them in the water, they naturally form this. Take a bunch of these phospholipids, dump them in water, they'll form this structure. What does that look like to you? A target sign. Okay, I like it. Okay. What else? I like target sign. Whatever. What else? A donut, a cell membrane, maybe? Yes. The cell membrane. This being the donut. This is the inside, right? And here's the outside. So this naturally forms a cell membrane. Not a target sign or a donut, although that makes me. Now, okay. And that's going to form naturally because of the hydrophobic forces here and the hydrophilic forces. So now you've got a way of controlling inside from out. That's your plasma or cell membrane. But of course, an actual plasma membrane is more complicated. We're going to have all sorts of things in here, proteins and other structures. What are these guys going to be good for? Having a barrier is a good start, right? But what else do you want to do?
Shuttle.
Yeah, you want to control what's inside or outside. Good. All right, so you want to control the internal environment as best you can. All right? So we're going to use other things within the plasma membrane. All right? All right, what else do we have left? I call that enough. We'll start with DNA on Thursday. All right, go relax. No break, so I'll give you an extra 5 minutes. Why not?